All right, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. This is my post-market wrap-up on this Friday, February 21st, 2020. A lot of stuff to cover with you. Let's start off with the basics. Stocks fell today. Nothing major. The Dow Jones Industrial Average didn't even fall 1%. I want you to put that into perspective. There's a lot of people out here running around in some kind of panic mode. There is never, and I mean that, a reason to panic. When things aren't going your way, you gotta kind of center yourself and look at what's going on and figure a way to make it work. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. All right. So if you were to turn on the mainstream channels, they're all talking about the market sell-off, the market sell-off. You know, look, they want to sell commercials. That's the truth. Okay. But what really happened today isn't the stock market. What really happened today that you need to be concerned about, and again, no panic, two things. Number one, this is number one. The 30-year bond just hit an all-time historic low. Not only did that happen, the dollar got walloped. The dollar got walloped. The Dixie fell over 0.5%. Now, if there were really all this coronavirus fear going around, everything's being blamed on the coronavirus. I want to talk about that too. You would imagine the dollar would go up. You wouldn't expect to see a simultaneous drop in the 30-year and the dollar. That, to me, is a much bigger deal than watching the Dow Jones Industrial Average drop not even 1%. You understand? I want all of you to be big picture people. Now, with that said, what has worked since the election of Donald Trump? Buying all the dips, getting long this market. I mean, it's been the biggest face-ripping off strategy in the history of the world. And I was the first guy that I know of to say this market was going to vault higher when he was elected on Greg Hunter's show. Okay. Subsequently, other people have followed on my coattails, but I sincerely believe if I was not the first, I was one of the first. It was so obvious to me. Okay. Now, with that said, what did I do today? This is pretty big. And again, this is not panicking. This is having the high ground. I closed all of my positions today. I closed my core positions today. That's pretty big. I am 100% in cash, not because the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell less than 1%, because I am watching the bond market. I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. Ponder this. The 1 month Treasury is yielding more than the entire yield curve, except for the 30-year, which just hit an all-time record low of 1.9. This is extraordinary. And again, the narrative is everything is fine. People, what else did we find out today? Something that if you follow my work, if you've been following my work for any length of time, you've heard me say over and over again would continue despite the lies and the propaganda. That is, manufacturing would continue to free fall and our service sector would continue to drop. Both of these sectors, the largest sectors that are supposed to be good for our economy, are now officially in contraction. Our economy is officially in free fall. I mean, it's been for the longest time. But the lies and the propaganda, the look here, the don't look here, are going to keep playing out. Now, I want to tell you something. I hope you find somewhat interesting. You can only imagine the amount of messages and emails I get, okay? And I go through them and I look at the stuff here. Over the past few weeks, I've had hundreds of communications, people explaining to me that they believe, bear with me on this for a moment, that they believed, and some of them say they even have proof, maybe they do, that this coronavirus is a bioweapon that was deliberately dispersed in China to be used as kind of a scapegoat for what we're seeing now in our economy. Look here, don't look here, blame everything on the virus. When I first read these things, I'm going to admit to you right here, I didn't buy it at all. I was like, no. And you know that's true. Did I downplay the coronavirus? Yes, I did. I absolutely did. But look how it's being pushed by the mainstream, not just media, but the mainstream financial channels. They're all on the same boat, the same script. Look here, it's the virus causing the problems in the market. People, look, if you have followed my work, you know for a fact that we are in an environment of extremes. We have never seen this before. The distortions that exist here and now in this market are worse than any previous bubble. Way worse than the 1929 crash. Way worse than the dot-com bubble, than the last meltdown. There's nothing comes close to this. It is a debt-induced super bubble. A debt-induced super bubble which has dramatically inflated a stock market bubble, reinflated a housing bubble, caused malinvestments across the spectrum of asset classes. There is no way that at one point this is not going to correct to fair value. But again, you want to get all worked up over the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling not even 1% today? It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Stocks go up and stocks go down. You're looking in the wrong place. That's what, look, you're supposed to do that. That's how they distract you as well. Look at the stock market. Look at the stock market. The president. Stocks are all-time record highs. Look how great our economy is. Meanwhile, we're in free fall. And we got the proof today. The entire manufacturing sector in free fall. Service sector in free fall. In contraction. But no, look at the stock market. Even today, the president would tell you, look at the stock market. It's near all-time record highs. Well, you know what? He actually would be right on that. We're not too far off of an all-time record high here. But the bond market is flashing red like you cannot believe. That's why I decided to take the high ground today. Now, I know a lot of you can't do that. I manage my own money. You can't, bounce in and out of positions like I do. And that's a big problem for a lot of people here. I'll tell you something else that's interesting today. Right on CNBC, one of the guests there admitted that the debt market is in a bubble. That is pretty freaking epic to me. And I'll tell you something else. Despite what we have heard from several Federal Reserve presidents over the past week, they can say what they want to. But I'm going to go out there on a limb and tell you, and I know you probably understand this already, we are getting a rate cut. We are getting negative rates. The Fed is going to continue to pump the debt market just to attempt to keep the illusion real. But like I explained to you, when the Federal Reserve started the repo scam, I came out here and explained to you why they were doing it. They were trying to prevent another yield curve inversion. Well, guess what? It has completely failed. There is a major yield curve inversion going on here. Remember how I got ridiculed and laughed at when I called the last yield curve inversion like years before it happened? I told everyone it was going to, and it did. And then the Fed got in here trying to normalize the yield curve, but all they succeeded in doing is hyperinflating the debt bubble, which is their grand plan to begin with anyway. The yield curve is a disaster area right now, and you're being told to ignore it, like Larry Kudlow today is telling you don't worry about the yield curve. Did you catch that? Well, the man is out of his freaking mind and must convince you that what you're seeing is not real. I think you know that. Um, Now again, going back to what I've spoken about recently, look at the price action of gold. Look at the price action of silver. They're telling us something. Gold and silver are telling us something. This is a language. When you sit back and you look at what's happening in the market, it's a language. And again, the one thing you need to ignore for the most part is what the stock market does on a day-to-day, unless you're intraday trading like I do. Other than that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Prices action of assets are going to fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. And this less than 1% drop in the Dow is nothing. But again, you're supposed to look there. You're supposed to be ignoring the debt market, which is the main driver behind everything we're seeing now. So when you're being told by people like Larry Kudlow to ignore the yield curve, and we've been hearing this for a while, you know that's exactly where you should be looking. Again, I want you to think about it. The 1 month dominates the entire yield curve right now, except for the 30-year, which is at an all-time historic low. It's not going to be long before we get the 30-year drop below the 1 month. This is very, very negative for the markets. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Suppressed rates have worked like magic since Obama took over the reins and started, QE1, QE2, Operation Twist inclusion with the Federal Reserve, and now President Trump has taken over. You have to understand that just like any drug, okay, at one point, when you go to your doctor, let's say you have hypertension, your doctor keeps increasing the dose, adding more medicine, adding different types of medicines. At one point, these medicines become toxic. So the cure becomes worse than the disease at one point. You understand? Now, I've explained to all of you since time immemorial that this market is going to continue higher until it doesn't. And to say the least, there's no other guy that I know of or heard of that has kept all of you on the right side of this market since the election of Donald Trump. But I am telling you now, and it should say something to you, that today I closed all my positions. I am 100% in cash. I bought Bitcoin today. I bought Litecoin today. I will be adding to my, I own a couple of more cryptocurrencies. I will, of course, be adding to my precious metal positions, silver, gold, platinum, palladium, all of them. Especially silver. It's my favorite of all time. You know that. There's nothing wrong, and you must always have the high ground. Now, if this turns out to be nothing, what do I lose? Zero. I restructure my portfolio. I get myself in some better spots. And I'm happy. If the market decides that this is really it, the Federal Reserve has run its course, and their final solution is soon to be realized, well, I will trade accordingly. You understand? But you should already be in the right spots. If you follow this blog for all this time, you don't even give a damn what the stock market's doing, unless you're a trader. And, our traders, we do well sometimes and we do bad sometimes as well. And I'll give you an example of that. Today, I was in 2 trades. My first trade today, I made 21%. My second trade, I gave that all back plus another 5. So I had a negative day in the market. That's the way it is, period. As a trader, that's your life. If you can't deal with it, you're in the wrong business. You're going to take the good with the bad. If you stay on the right side over time, you're going to rip its face off. But expect some pretty wild swings in your bankroll. This should be obvious to anyone out here. And I know it is to I don't even know how many traders I interact with on a daily basis, friends of mine, everybody else. We all know how the game works. But again, if this is it, and look, we're seeing some pretty extraordinary things play out here in the debt market. Again, an all-time historic low with regard to the 30-year, and the dollar drops on a day like today when the coronavirus is going to kill us all. maybe it is going to kill us all. Maybe it really is some kind of bioweapon that was released to, distract. Oh, blame the coronavirus on the melting down economy. This is what people have been telling me. Did I blow it off? Yes, I blew it off, admittedly. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, I could be wrong. That's the truth. But I'm just throwing it out there. I know some people are going to say that's a conspiracy theory. Maybe it is a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's not. What do you think? I don't know. But the bottom line is we've all known for a very long time that this cannot go on forever. And there's nothing wrong with having the high ground when you're not sure of what may come down the pike with regard to this market. And I am very alarmed at what we're seeing today in the debt market. But what we can expect, and this is part of the end game here, it's very simple, is the Federal Reserve to issue more debt on an epic scale. Same thing for the Chinese central bank, other central banks around the world who have one goal, to be the lenders and buyers of last resort, to issue more debt. That's it. They want to own the world, and they want you to pay for it. And we are. We're all paying for it. And we're going to see in the end how this terrible thing plays out. I've explained this to you. If you know my work, you know exactly how this is going to unfold. In a worst case scenario, a two-tier society with extreme haves and extreme have-nots. That's it, people. That's where we are. This is where we are going here. But understand what you're going to hear. Despite the fact that we have irrefutable proof that our economy is failing, that our economy is in free fall, the lies are going to be, we're doing great. Until we hear this, the virus is now affecting not just the stock market, but it's affecting our economy too. They're going to blame the virus. That's what they're going to do. That's what the president is going to do. One last thing before I let you go, and I want you to ponder this. I know this video is awfully long. So today we heard from the president again that the farmers, he's prepared to bail out the farmers again. I want you to answer this one question for me. What is it called when a government redistributes wealth? You have any clue? Maybe you should think about that. Look, with that said, people, it's Friday. It's Friday, and I'm going to let you go with my favorite three things. I'll see you all Sunday, more than likely, to do a look ahead. But I want you to do this right here and right now. Say it with me. If you've been with me all these years, you know what I'm going to say. You ready? Love each other, care about each other, and be charitable. People, if this is it, if we are really at that precipice moment, which is coming, maybe now, maybe not, who knows? Have the high ground, like I said. We are all going to need each other. We can't let them divide us anymore. That's their goal too. Keep us divided, keep us separated by everything you can think about. We're not each other's enemies. They are the enemy. Okay, remember that. I love you. Please share the video. I'll see you Sunday. I'm out of here.